the inside or the outside. That we are designed naturally and intelligently to heal and grow and thrive from within, or that we need to be fixed from an external authority once we break down. Belief seems like an odd place to start this conversation, this health in your hands conversation, but it's actually critical. Our belief lays the very foundation for what becomes possible in health and well-being. So we can think about a few different options here. The first one, as I said, is, does health come from the inside? Do we believe that our bodies are meant to thrive, meant to sustain themselves, meant to heal in response to whatever injury or possibility within disease or illness that we can experience, assuming we provide the proper nourishment and environment for it to do so? Or the second one is, do we believe that our bodies are more like machines, incapable of fixing themselves, incapable of healing themselves, that once we break down, we need to rely on an external authority to do that for us, whether it be a mechanic or even a doctor like myself? Now, I want to talk about how our actions and the outcomes from our actions actually depend on these underlying belief structures, which explains why the belief is so important to the conversation of health. For instance, our actions can literally become negated or even reversed in their effect if they're done with the wrong intention. The right actions with the wrong intention don't match up. In my own life, I spent the better part of my early 20s doing everything I could with diet, everything I could with supplements, praying and meditating, exercising, doing yoga, trying my best to get my health together. But my health was actually going down the drain pretty fast for several years in a row. And what shifted for me was not the next supplement or the next exercise routine or the next doctor's appointment. What shifted for me was something beneath the surface, something much more fundamental than that. And I really believe that that fundamental shift would have the same impact on you and on all of us together. So what is that shift? Well, first we have to start asking ourselves some questions. What are the important questions we need to ask ourselves about health to even figure out where to start? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we taking the actions we're taking? What is the outcome we want to see? Are we taking the approach to health that empowers us with the most opportunities and the greatest number of possible positive outcomes that we want to see in our own health? These questions are not only important, they're totally essential, right? So we have to get back to the same earlier question. Do we believe the body is naturally healthy, naturally thriving, naturally healing at all times, assuming the proper environment and the proper support has been in place? Or do we believe that what we do doesn't really matter as much, that we're destined to break down eventually, and that's when we look for an external authority to help fix us? So from that position, we can see a few things unfold. One, do we have, again, it comes down to the number of opportunities we provide for ourselves. Do we want to become the authority in our own well-being? Do we want to become the first line of defense, the primary care provider for ourselves and our families? Or do we want to shrug off that responsibility and leave it to somebody else to take care of for ourselves? And we'll get to responsibility in a little bit. But we're going to address one more time here this theory of belief. So does it really matter if you take the one belief versus the other, if you adopt the self-healing model versus the external authority model? Does that really matter? Well, in terms of what we know scientifically about belief and about thoughts in healthcare, we know that not only do our thoughts impact our immune system and our immune function, but they also impact our genetic expression and the genetic expression that we pass down to our children and our grandchildren. And beyond that, we can talk about the placebo, the very existence of the placebo effect, which is the healing that happens even in response to an inert supplement or an inert drug that's given during a trial, is usually how we talk about the placebo. So the placebo effect is healing that happens even in the absence of a true intervention. The very existence of the placebo indicates that our minds and our beliefs have an incredibly powerful impact on our own health and well-being. So we have to establish, again, which mindset, which belief structure do we want to adopt that's going to afford us the greatest number of opportunities for ourselves and our family? We want it to be empowering, because honestly, it can really feel like health and the choices we make towards our health kind of become meaningless, especially when we're talking about intergenerational health and population-wide health. But we'll start back at the beginning. Is the body self-healing, intelligent, with the ability to grow, maintain itself, and do everything it needs to do if we give it the proper environment and proper support? Or is it more like a machine, ready to break down at a random time, undetermined location and area, and then leaving us in need of an external authority? Now, there might be some truth to both of these, and there's tends to be truth to both sides of the equation and all things, but it's important to ask this question. Let's break it down to something a little bit more practical. So there's two basic models we can talk about in healthcare, one being the pathogenic model, the other one being the salutogenic model. So patho means disease, saluto means health, right? So in the pathogenic model, we're waiting for a disease to arise before we do an intervention. We need there to be an illness before there's anything we can do about it. And the best the pathogenic model offers in terms of long-term health is early detection, which is great. We want early detection of a problem so we know to take action as soon as possible. But it doesn't afford much opportunity to, on a daily basis, contribute to our own insurance policy for health. So what we essentially get to with the pathogenic model is that our actions become a little bit more meaningless. Versus the salutogenic model, which says that we can actually build health. We can accumulate health-building faculties in our lives and in our bodies by taking actions that contribute to our own bank, to our own insurance policy. And in the salutogenic model, the health-building opportunity gives us these possibilities, these outcomes that we can see from our own hands and our own actions. And it really emphasizes, in my mind, the right that we have as individuals to make the choices for healthcare in our lives and in our families, in our communities, that mean the most to us. But it also brings a sense of responsibility. And that's the hard part. That the salutogenic model, which is the health from within model, where we're contributing actively to our own immediate and long-term health, it adds a little bit of responsibility, whereas the outside-in approach and the strictly pathogenic model allows us to kind of sit back and just wait for something to go wrong, hoping that it doesn't, but if it does, then we go and ask the authority to take care of it for us. Now, to clarify, there is definitely a time and place for the pathogenic intervention. In the event of especially acute injury or acute disease, there's nothing quite like modern medicine to help us get out of the sticky situations, especially when it's life-threatening. But even in those circumstances, practicing side by side the pathogenic and the salutogenic model would then allow us, through the salutogenesis, to grow our recovery capacity, to grow our resilience, to speed up recovery, and to help decrease the chances that we're going to have to face that illness again in the future. This is especially true with regard to chronic illness. In a lot of circumstances, there are no real cures or medical interventions that can help get rid of a chronic illness. It is the salutogenic model, the health from within model, that allows anyone with a chronic illness to heal at all, especially talking about long-term full recovery of those nagging, autoimmune, mental, emotional, physical, chronic issues that plague so much of our culture. And yet if we look at our lifestyle, we tend to sit around and wait for something to happen and then look for an answer on the outside, rather than taking the responsibility and exercising our personal right to contribute and participate in our own health care for ourselves and our family, to essentially become our own primary care providers, which then allows us to tap into, again, the belief being the underlying assumption that we have the ability to heal from within, assuming the proper environment and support has been put in place. So do you see why it's important to have this belief to begin with? Because if we don't have that, if we assume health comes from the outside, why would we do anything? Why would we even contribute? And when we don't have opportunities, when we don't have any options, it actually decreases our confidence in ourselves. It decreases the impact we can even have, because it feels hopeless. But we can generate more potential. We create a stronger outcome simply through the belief that we have the impact, that we can have that, we have that ability. It's an inalienable right that we each have to contribute to our own health and well-being. And if you need some evidence, simply watch a cut heal without you doing anything, and there's a confirmation that the body is meant to heal from the inside out, and we have that ability. So through these next few weeks, my goal is to flesh out this thought process and this belief around health that makes it exciting, enthralling, accessible, empowering, and to provide some totally universal, simple actions and lifestyle changes we can do that create the biggest impact with the least effort, which is super important in our world today. We're all about efficiency here, and we want to make sure you get that efficiency down in your life so that we can make these big changes for ourselves and our personal lives, and into the future, for future generations and for our whole population, to turn this ship around and create a robust population that is ready to be healthy, ready to face the challenges of life, and to bond together in something that's really meaningful for all of us. So stay tuned, and we'll catch up with you guys later this week. So long.